we know when things are bad when Trump's biggest surrogates are turning on him, like CNN. So we heard, remember the host of Reliable Sources went after the Trump spokesperson, Jeffrey Lord, and he said this to them, because he was saying that you shouldn't say that the election is rigged because the host of Reliable Sources, Brian, what's his name, Stetler? I can't. Anyway, for the guy from the Stray Cat says...
The guy from the Stray Cat. That's what we're getting down to with journalism. Hey, the guy from the Stray Cat has got some really important stuff to say.
So here's what he said to Jeffrey Lord about trying to undermine the election.
There's no investigation of this.
Yeah.
Why is there no...
The abnormalities in the election system is not rigged. No system is perfect. It does not mean that the election process is rigged. Just because you don't like the outcome.
So he's saying it's rigged, and now here comes the CNN guy.
Conspiratorial. Are you not a little bit scared, Jeffrey? Are you not a little bit nervous about the day after the election, whether Trump or Clinton wins? Are you worried that Trump is going to try to delegitimize the results?
Look, I am worried that an election could be stolen. And with all the,
please
I mean,
don't
and
do
I
that to
say,
our viewers.
Who's going to steal the election?
So that's Brian Stetler saying that there's a guy who's paid by CNN to come on CNN, and he says, please don't do this to our audience. Well, I don't understand. So then we've already talked about this on the show, and then right on the heels of that, Don Lemon, who I say is a cross between Jack Lemmon and Don Knotts.
I find him to be elegant, but go ahead.
He aspires to someday reach David Gregory levels of interviewing.
Yeah.
So he was on with a Trump spokesman after he said the Second Amendment thing, and he called him right out on it about so they're trying to say Trump didn't mean that. And listen to Don Lemon.
I'm supporting him
Dan,
now.
what you're saying right now makes no sense. I'm sitting at home. I'm watching Donald Trump. I have two ears. I have two ears, and I have two eyes, and I can see the reaction of the people behind me. And I'm not. We're not stupid. Every single person you have on this panel, who are very smart people, David Gergen, who's respected. Hang on, will you let me finish, Dan? David Gergen, who's respected by people on both sides, by Republicans and by Democrats, who's worked for Republicans and Democrats, who has worked for a president who's had an assassination attempt, who's lived through presidents who've been assassinated, knew exactly what Donald Trump is saying, and we're supposed to be stupid enough not to understand that and to believe the spin coming from the surrogates and for people like you. You should be ashamed of yourself.
So there's Don Lemon, right? Wow, Don Lemon has awakened from the nightmare of racism and bigotry he's given airtime to for over a fucking year. When life gives you a lemon, it gives you really shitty journalists. Okay. But Don Lemon stood up, so I'm like, that's crazy. First it was the Stray Cats guy, then Don Lemon is standing up to Trump surrogates. Now here's Jake Tapper, by the way. That's not his porn name.
It's weird, his porn name is Sheldon.
So here he is on with Paul Manafort, who used to be the chairman of the Trump campaign. And here Manafort was telling Jake Tapper, you are only covering Donald Trump's gaffes. Why don't you cover other stuff that's in the news? And Jake Tapper says, we are. Here's what he says.
Just as a factual matter, on Monday, my show covered Mr. Trump's speech. Okay, we did. We covered Mr. Trump's speech. We covered the narrative, and we did cover those Hillary Clinton emails. So when these things, just because you say them, they're not true.
So there's Jake Tapper telling a Trump surrogate that what you're saying isn't true. But this never happens on TV, right? You all know this. We've talked about it a million times. The most Tom Brokaw will say when someone's lying is he overreached.
No, he'll go, well, what's the other opinion? Like, what's the other... Right. How do we balance this lie with somebody else's opinion instead of going, that's just not a fucking fact, you fucking asshole.
Well, that's the whole thing of what we've talked about before. What's wrong with people like Brian Williams is they're not objective anymore. They're neutral. So now everybody's opinion is equal and no one's full of shit. Except now they're starting to call people full of shit. I don't know why it's only with Trump surrogates, though. They still won't do it with other people. I think I think Trump's check must have bounced or something. It's weird to me to see CNN act so sanctimonious about the presidential candidate that they helped create. That's really what has happened. That's how bad journalism are. Now they're trying to scramble. Hey, we better try to take this guy down, the guy that we've spent frickin' year building up because it might ruin our country. I know you've heard Les Moonves on the show giggling about how much money they're making as the country burns. It's bad for the country, but because they don't give a shit. They don't ride the subway or take the bus, right? They don't sit in the bleachers, right? These are those people. They all have air conditioning.
I think they're shorting Trump stock. That's what
Shorting.
Great
shorting him.
He's got his tiny hands. Shorting. Anyway, I just thought that was again another example. It happened again. So does anyone have a theory about why CNN all of a sudden is allowing its journalists to go to tell the truth and call liars liars when it comes to the Trump campaign? Any ideas, Steph?
I was just thinking that maybe they decided that CNN stands for news.
Maybe they decided that.
Well, I think that Trump can be. He's been so outrageous that.
What?
You know what? Now the consensus is that this is a dangerous guy, and we're gonna like what they're doing is giving themselves credibility now. Like, look at us, we are standing up to this danger that is facing our country. Did you see that Dan Rather even came out of the cobwebs?
Yeah.
And was like, he came out of his coffin and he wrote something. I think that the New York Times.
Well,
printed,
didn't he just say recently that he thought that maybe Trump would probably figure out and decide?
Look into his heart.
Yeah,
He said,
look into his heart.
He said Trump would do that.
I think it's just a fluke.
That Dan Rather is saying that this is happening on CNN. You mean?
Yeah, I think it's just a fluke. I think it'll pass over real soon.
I think it's just that it's good television. I think that's all it comes down to.
But it would be good television if they did it to anybody. So why do they?
No, it wouldn't, because you can get caught up in the minutia of if you actually watch like panel discussions between conservatives and sane people. Conservatives they start circle talking. And everybody's like, I can't even follow the fucking thread of what just happened. Like, they can't follow the drama. This is like, there's so clearly like, bad guy, good guy. Like, it's good wrestling kind of shit.
So but they still do the thing when someone comes on. First of all, half the people, political people in this country, don't accept climate change. Right? So when this climate denier comes on their show, they're not going to go, "You're lying. That's just not factually true." They won't say that. What Brian Williams will do is turn to the science denier and say, "Okay, well, I appreciate you coming on," and turn to the scientist and say, "Thanks for the debate." And that's all. It's over. I hope you come back on. But like I said, you couldn't report the sports that way. You couldn't say, "Hey, the Cubs played the Dodgers yesterday. Dodgers said they won 4-3. Cubs said they won 4-3."
Well,
who really won? I guess we'll never know. But we had the debate.
Right. Well, the powers that be,
Try not to step on the laughs.
Yeah, I didn't want to say anything.
Jesus, Eddie.
I thought I gave the laugh a
You need to let it breathe. I mean, we're at a comedy festival, for God's sakes.
Is this a comedy festival?
People are here learning.
Yeah.
They're learning.
You didn't step on your pickle joke. A fucking pickle joke that lay there like a morning turd. Man, does anybody remember that? The pickle joke? The Gherkin pickle joke thing? This guy, what the fuck was that?
I don't remember that joke.
I just have, I just had something really great to say, and whenever I have something really great to say, to me it doesn't matter what the fuck anyone is saying.
Yeah. But go ahead, say
Or
it.
where.
Do you remember what it was you wanted to say?
Not anymore because you fucked it up. No. No, the powers that be have decided that Trump is a danger. Like, I mean, even the shitty Republicans are backing Clinton.
Even Kissinger.
I mean, Clinton, in other words, Kissinger?
Yeah.
Case closed.
Right.
I mean, Clinton, you see, Hillary, she won't deny climate change. She'll just have policies that progress it.
Yeah.
Like
fracking.
You know what I mean? But she'll say the right. That's the difference between the two of these people, right? Is that, Hillary says all the right things without meaning fucking any of them. And everybody gets fooled, or
You
most
sound-
people get fooled.
Eddie, you sound very sexist.
Boy.
Why are you angry at women? What's your problem?
My mother never loved me,
And I think it's coming
so
out.
I'm angry at
You you're such a bro.
You know, if you
I think your
don't
mother
vote
was
for
right.
Hillary, you're voting for Trump. I mean, that's. I mean, we're so worried.
I'm voting for Jill Stein, who's a chick. She's a chick. She's a broad.
Yeah, but what do you think of her vax views?
Turns out that's false, isn't that?
That's all bullshit.
Oh, is she anti-vaccination?
No,
that's
that's
what
a
they're saying
smear
about
that
her.
they're using against her, which gets repeated by actual journalists. And it's not true. She's not against. She has said that it should be studied, just like all the other candidates said. Hillary Clinton said the same goddamn. Of course, it should be studied. That's what she said, and she didn't say that Wi-Fi hurts babies' ears or brains or whatever. She said it should be studied. What's that cellular shit hurts, and they've done those studies, and they say there is an effect. So she's not like they're doing the same thing to her that they did to Bernie Sanders. Same goddamn thing.
They're worried.
That's right. That's right.
But Bernie Sanders
and
is an old kook. He's an old guy.
Oh, Bernie Sanders? Oh, he's pie in the sky.
He's a
By the
nut.
way, do you think Bernie? What about this? What about this? Just bring this up real quickly. Do you think Bernie sold out all his supporters by supporting Hillary?
No.
No.
No? I do.
No.
I do.
Oh,
No.
I think you're wrong about
I
that.
think Sanders had a moment there where he could have said, "No fucking way am I endorsing this fucking right-wing Democrat." She's not a Democrat.
Oh, I think he's.
There are no Democrats anymore, so why didn't Sanders run independently?
Well, I think Sanders is going
He
to be
wants-
returning. He's going to return to Congress. He's going to be an independent, and I don't think he sold out. He's in the revolution. He's the leader of the revolution. He's going to continue with
If
revolution.
he was the
Don't
leader
you
of the
yell at me.
revolution, if he was the leader of the revolution, in my opinion,
He's still in it.
He wouldn't have endorsed her.
I don't think he did endorse her. He was.
What do you
present.
mean? Did you see the convention?
I did. Did he say I endorse her?
Oh, please.
He didn't.
So that's all the political
You don't
game.
agree with that?
No,
You
no,
I didn't hear
I
about
don't.
you.
No, he didn't sell out. In fact,
You don't
he's
think he
still
did?
fighting for us. He's not done. He's not done
Did
fighting.
you see the Democratic platform?
In fact-
the platform is because of his leadership.
Right. So, in fact, I'll tell you this. Right. So, me and you, Eddie, all of us up here, we thought Bernie Sanders was a better candidate because he had pie in the sky ideas like, universal health care. And, how are we going to afford cheaper drugs? I mean, how are we going to afford a more efficient healthcare system? You can't, come on.
He's a basic FDR Democrat. That's all. That's what he is.
Yes.
We've been
But-
waiting for another FDR.
But but I'm going to tell you, and Bernie Sanders is leading a progressive takeover, right? So with Hillary Clinton as the nominee, Bernie endorsed her. The establishment corporatists and neocon warhawks are getting behind the Democrat.
Yeah. That's right.
But the problem from them is that the revolution has not gone away. The pie-in-the-sky people who back Bernie are still here, and now they're taking back their government through elections. There was a lot of victories last week.
Were there?
All the candidates that were endorsed by Bernie Sanders won their primaries.
That's a big deal for our country.
Keith Ellison in Minnesota won. Russ Feingold in Wisconsin won. Chris Pearson and David Zuckerman in Vermont. The week before that, Pramila Jayapal in Washington. And before that, Zephyr Teachout in New York won. And all of these candidates don't take super PAC money. They espouse progressive values, and they are winning. So when you're taking money fighting for the 1%, you have to buy lots of ads showing you smiling and kissing babies, right? But when you fight for the people will fight for you. It doesn't matter if Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump is in the White House. We need an army of progressives in Congress. Our country needs a battalion of Bernie Sanders to prevent the next Iraq and the next TPP. We need to make sure we're supporting our local progressives in all public offices. And I say the establishment, if you can't join them, fucking beat them. That's what I say about Bernie Sanders.
Jamie, the recorder was off during that whole thing. Can you do that over?
Gherkin. Was it on for Gherkin?
Gherkin. Gherkin.
Pickle, inventor of the pickle. I was sitting on that for a while.
That was a great joke. I like it.